In this video, I'm going to share how to submit a tax return in Germany in my step-by-step guide using a software called Wundertax. To get started, head over to snfinance.wundertax.de to get a €5 discount on your tax return. So the registration process is quite simple. Simply register with your email address and you will come to this page. Here, click the latest year. We're going to start with the year 2024. And if you want to submit for a previous year, you can use a previous year as well. So you'll come first to the personal data section. Here we're going to select from the drop-down list again the 2024 tax return. In the name and date of birth section, we'll put in our first name, last name, and then date of birth. After that, we're going to put in the street, house number, zip code, and city where we live in Germany. You are also able to use this software if you're living outside Germany. So you can select the drop-down menu here and select your country and submit your tax return from outside Germany. But in our case, we're going to submit it using an example of someone who's living in Germany. After that, we use the drop-down list to select the Finanzamt. You will easily be able to find your city name in this drop-down list. After that, in the religion and family status section, you provide the religion information if you are Protestant or a Roman Catholic, ancient Catholic, or if you do not know, or if you are not obliged to pay church tax, simply click either not obliged to pay church tax or other. In the family status, you provide your current family status, single, married, permanently separated, divorced, or widowed. Here you might have some confusion. For example, if someone is married and their spouse is not in Germany, what should they provide here? They should always provide the correct information. If they are married and their spouse is not here, it doesn't matter. Provide the correct information. Even though your tax class doesn't relate to your family status, but still it's better to provide the correct information. After that, click Save and Continue. Now, in this section, we're going to provide all of the information about our income. First, we're going to take here that I would like to declare income from an income tax statement. Now, this income tax statement is also called as a Lohnsteuerbescheinigung. This is a certificate that you usually get in either the December or January's payslip from your employer. If you do not have this, ask your employer to provide it. And for example, in some cases, if you are unable to get this, maybe you are a student or someone who doesn't have any contact with their employer, or they do not want to contact the employer, what they can do, which is still not recommended, but they can do is um, sum up all of the data from each salary slip and provide the data to the corresponding section in this app. Within this Lohnsteuerbescheinigung, you'll have all of the relevant information which we are going to fill in one after another. So in the first part, we are going to provide our tax class. So you should know your tax class 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So after that, we provide our annual gross wage. We'll put someone who's earning 50,000 euros gross, then their income tax from their salary slips or their Lohnsteuerbescheinigung. We provide that detail. Then the solidarity surcharge. Most of the people will have 0 in this section. Church tax, again, if it's applicable, add this amount. If you got short-term work allowance, for example, the pandemic contribution, you'll add that, otherwise leave it empty. After that, you provide your contribution to the pension insurance or the Rentenversicherung, which is going to be, let's say, the 500. And the same contribution is going to be provided by your employer in almost all of the cases. Then you provide the Rentenversicherung, your part and your employer's part, the Pflegeversicherung, your part and your employer's part. All of this information is corresponding to your Lohnsteuerbescheinigung, and the numbers are given here. You can simply select the number and add the details from your Lohnsteuerbescheinigung to the corresponding number. And if there are any things that are not written in your Lohnsteuerbescheinigung, you can simply leave that section empty. Or if there are additional data fields, for example, from 7 to 21 or 29 to 20, you can tick here and add all of those details in these sections. In our example, I'll simply keep it unticked. Now, in Wundertax, you also have the option of declaring self-employed income. This is a great option, and I personally use this software to submit my own tax declaration because I get the input from this YouTube channel and additional sources. So I can easily add that information using this software. I won't show these details in this tutorial, but if you want me to make a tutorial on showing how to declare self-employed income, simply let me know in the comments below and I'll make a tutorial on that as well. Here, I forgot to add that you need to write your occupation name. It can be anything. For example, if you're an engineer, you just simply write engineer, or if you're a scientist, write down scientist, whatever your job description is, project lighter, whatever, simply write that down. So if you have multiple incomes, or if you had multiple Lohnsteuerbescheinigungen, you can add another Lohnsteuerbescheinigung detail here. Now this can be due to multiple factors. For example, if your contract change within the same company, you'll have multiple Lohnsteuerbescheinigung by the end of the year. If you had multiple jobs in a year, you'll also have multiple Lohnsteuerbescheinigungen. Or for example, if you left a job, joined the same company in another city or another country, you'll also get another Lohnsteuerbescheinigung. You can add another Lohnsteuerbescheinigung here. Now, um, if you did multiple jobs at the same time, you will be having tax class 6. In the second job, you add the tax class 6 and then add the correct details afterwards. Now, after that, we are going to add details from other sources of income. If you are an employee outside Germany, you can tick here and provide the details of your employer and provide the details of your foreign income. So income as an employee in which country, if you had a residence beside Germany, if you are in that country as well as a residence in Germany, the name of the employer, all of the details relating to that, and the begin and the end of the employment. Now, this is only acceptable for countries which have a double taxation agreement with Germany. So if you are working, or if you had worked in another country which doesn't have a double tax agreement with Germany, you cannot use this software, but I think many countries have a double taxation agreement with Germany. After that, if you received unemployment benefits or insolvency benefits, take here and add those details. If you had parental allowance, you can add the details here. Please hit the like button if you're getting value from this video and consider subscribing. If you had received payments from health insurance like sick pay, maternity allowance, transitional allowance, take here and add those details. After that, if you had capital contributions like capital gains from stocks and ETFs, you're going to click here. Now, I'm going to show some details regarding this section. First, we are going to I apply for a favorable rate review for all capital gains. This favorable rate review does not bring any disadvantage. So simply tick here. And if you're obliged to pay church tax, then tick here as well. Now, in this section, you are going to provide the information from the tax certificate that we get from our broker. So if you are having an account with Scalable Capital, it's going to be very easy because they provide this certificate, and it's going to be very similar to your Lohnsteuerbescheinigung, in which you'll have all of the details corresponding to certain numbers. You'll add the numbers that are in line 7 in your tax certificate from Scalable Capital or Trade Republic. Then from line 8 here, line 9 here. If you have data from rows 11 to 14, simply follow the same procedure that you did for your Lohnsteuerbescheinigung in the previous section, like here. So add all of the details, whichever is applicable for you, whichever is not, simply don't add those details. Similarly, in the next section, if you had pension or rental income, you'll add those details. Here, if you have generated additional incomes with cryptocurrencies, real estate, or other assets, you're going to tick here. In the drop down, we're going to select cryptocurrency. I have a detailed video on crypto taxes here, which you can watch. But generally speaking, you'll have to provide a purchase date, the purchase price, then the date of sale, and then the exit value. And if you want to provide any notes relative to this purchase, now it's better that if you had multiple cryptocurrencies, you can provide every single cryptocurrency detail separately. If you had a high number of transactions, what you could do is sum up all of the purchases and exit dates in an Excel sheet and provide the details of every single crypto coin or token. For example, if you had multiple purchases in Bitcoin, sum all of the information for Bitcoin, add it here. Then if you add Ethereum as well, again, add the information for Ethereum, Solana, Cardano, whatever, and keep on adding it using this entry section, new entry button, and add all of the details here. Now, if you also had additional income using gold or jewelry, real estate sale, coins, paintings, antiquities, other assets, you can add all of those details here. And In the final section of income, if in the previous year a loss carry forward certificate was determined for you, you can add the details according to the finance arm here in terms of yours. Once you're done with all of the information, click save and continue. Now on the left hand side, you'll already see if you have paid more than the calculated income tax, and this is the approximate income tax that you can expect to get in return from the tax office. Now this is just an approximate, and the assessment which is done by the tax office will determine how much you'll get in return. Now on average, people get around €1,000 if they add all of the relevant details, but if you have certain additional expenses, you can get even a higher number. And at the end of the day, if you are having negative or zero in terms of return, and if you're not obliged to submit a tax return, you can always decide not to submit a tax return. But in most cases, it's definitely worthwhile if you submit a tax return. Now, in the expenses section, first we provide the employment expenses. So in the first section, we can provide the total amount of cost paid for entering a new profession or switching jobs. So you can add application costs. For example, if you send out applications, you can click this icon to get all of the additional information. For example, passport photo expenses, photocopies, binders, sheets, protectors, stamp pages, stationeries, envelopes, computer programs, every single thing. You can also download my free ebook on this topic, which has explained many important things in detail. So you add those details here. For example, in our example, we'll write down €250. Any contributions to university associations, if you had any seminars or additional tuition fees, you can add all of those here. So for example, if you went to a seminar, the costs were not paid by your employer and you had travel costs, let's say €100 going there, €100 coming back, the ticket cost was €500, so you can add €700. If you ate something there, you can also add those costs as well. Now, if you're paying contributions to professional associations, you'll add this here. For example, professional unions, doctors association, chamber of commerce fees, they can be added here. Most employees generally don't have any such expenses, but if you have anything that is applicable, you can add those here. After that, we provide the tax advice, tax software, or tax literature costs. So this software that we are using at the moment is also a paid software. So the fees of this software can also be added to a Wundertax. Now, in the previous year, if you paid a tax consultant to do your taxes, you can add those details here. If you bought any tax software, tax literature, all of these tax-related costs can be added here. The cost for Wundertax in the previous year was €34.95, so I'm going to add that here. After that, if you had work-related insurances, service liability, accident insurance, protection from employment rights, you can add the expenses here. So the description of the insurance and the cost. You can add multiple insurances using this entry, but in our example, we do not have anything. After that, we have the telecommunications cost, the telephone or internet. If you have specific costs, you can add those here, or you can add a maximum of €240 per calendar year. As the software says, there's no guarantee of acknowledgement, but generally speaking, people usually have 240 or even more euros in terms of internet and telephone bills. After that, we have the bank management costs. Similarly, you can add the amount that you pay for your bank account. A maximum of €16 will be taken into account per calendar year, so we're going to write down 16 here. Now, if you also had additional verbal costing or additional costs, you can tick here and add the relevant costs here. You add those details, save and continue. In this step, we're going to look at the items or materials that we need for our studies or job. If you do not have any specific items, you can simply tick on this lump sum amount, or if you have specific items, you can add those details here. So in the drop down menu, we are going to add, for example, a laptop, the name of the laptop, MacBook Air 2020, let's say 2024, the purchase price, €1,600, date of purchase. Now it's going to be in 2024, so we're going to add that. If you have multiple entries, we're going to again use the plus button, add the amount, let's say a mobile phone. We're going to add all of those details and date of purchase as well. As I said, you can add office equipment, repairs, maintenance costs, professional literature, workwear or uniform, software, and media devices. Once you're satisfied and added all of the relevant work or study related costs, you can save and continue. After that, we are going to have one of the most important costs that people have, and that is the transportation to and from work or your home office. First, we're going to provide our residential address. The distance between our residence and our workplace will be automatically calculated. Only the shortest route is accepted. For example, if there's a strasse going from your house to your work and you don't take it and you go the other way around, unfortunately, it would not be calculated and only the shortest route would be calculated. If you use public transport, you can add the details here. If not, then you can leave this section empty. After that, we're going to calculate your working days. So the first day of your work, the start of your work, in most cases, it's going to be the first day of the calendar year, and the end of work is going to be the last day of that calendar year. If you are new to Germany or if you had a new job which started somewhere in the middle of the year or whatever, you can add those specific details. And if you stopped working before the end of the year, or if you got laid off or something else, or if you left Germany, you can add that detail here as well. Now, this is going to be for every individual job that you had in that year. So, for example, if you had a job which you were continuing from 2023 and you left that job, let's say in the middle of July or by the end of July 2024, you'll write down the end date, and then we'll add another entry for the other jobs that you did throughout that year. And we will be adding those details again similar to this one. So in our example, we'll just keep it to a single job. So the start date, end date of within that year, working days per week. Some people have 5 days, some people have 4, some people have 6. So you can add whichever is relevant to you. After that, we're going to add vacation, sick days, and business trips. Most people generally have 30 holidays in a year. And if you had flexible days, which you use based on your overtime in the office, you'll also have to add those here, sick days and business trips as well. Let's say in our example, we have 50 business trips. If you have home office days, you can add the details here. Now, please note that you only entered the days in which you did not commute to work. So let's say in 2023, you did 50 days completely from home office. And then if you had days where you did home office and commuted to work as well, you can add those days here. So let's say 50 days again, in which we had first half at our work and the second half of the day or whatever in our home office, depending on your situation. Once you add that, you can add another entry if you had another job, or if you had just one job, you'll keep that one entry and click save and continue. Next, we come to our additional costs. Here we can add additional costs depending on if you have children. You can add costs for childcare, relief amount for single parents, disability status for the child. If you have home-related expenses like operating costs, craftsmen, nursing care, you can add those here. For example, house-related services, you'll generally get this from your Nebenkostenabrechnung by the end of the year from your landlord. So you can add those details here as well. For example, if there were janitor costs, street cleaning costs, window services, stair cleaning, and garden maintenance, you can have a look at your Nebenkostenabrechnung and provide the details here. You can add again multiple entries using this plus form. If you had contractor expenses, you can add it here. If you had cares or support expenses, add here. If you hired private household help, such as a babysitter, you can add those details here. In the additional costs, you can also add training or work-related costs. For example, workshops, seminars, and training. If you have separate workroom, you can add rent, operation costs, heating, and electric costs for that separate room. If you had relocation due to work, you can add those details here. If you have business trip or if you have double household. This is quite important if you are living in one city and working in another. So in this section, you can add the cost of the second household, first and last journey, weekly home travel, additional expenses for food as well. This is quite great if you are having double household. You can also add additional information in terms of additional insurances. For example, if you had Riester, liability insurance, or legal insurance, any additional insurance that you have. If you pay any donations or have membership fees, you can add that here. Provide additional details to your health insurance. If you had medical costs, private health insurance, disability costs, all of these details can be added. I won't go in details for every single thing, but you can simply click that specific option and apply the details that are applicable for you. As you can see, if you select any specific option, those will come here in the left hand side For example, in the double household costs, you can add the reason for the double household costs, add a first household, workplace, second household, and all of the specific details can be added here. If you want to delete, simply delete that step here. Once we have added all of the additional costs, we can now move to the data for the tax office. In most cases, we're going to write down our own name, our IBN number, SWIFT, financial institution. After that, our tax identification number, which is going to be an 11-digit tax identification number. And if you have a tax ID number in this format, you can also provide it by using this tick option and provide it here. After that, we're going to provide our telephone number, and at the end, we're going to provide any further details that we wish the tax office to take into account. We have added all of those details. We're going to click save and continue. After that, if you have any errors, the software will tell you that there is an error. So you can click here and go to the error, and to fix it, simply go here. Once you have fixed all of the errors, you will continue for payment. Now, up till this point, you have no obligation to pay for the software. So on the left hand side, if you don't think that tax refund using this software is enough, or if you think it's incorrect, you can use another software, compare it. And if you think this software is okay for you, then you can continue to payment and then pay for the software and submit your tax return. You would also be asked to verify your identity if you're using this software for the first time. For that, you'll need your residence permit card and some additional details depending on your nationality. Now, Wundertax is just one of the many softwares out there. In this video, I share how to submit a tax return for free using Elster. And in this video, I share tax tips that are amazing and save you hundreds of euros. So thanks for watching Black Gizun, and I'll see you in either of these videos.